Hey, welcome back, everybody. Of course, this is code challenge number 2. So I'm going to take this. Let me go ahead and minimize the side of my screen here so it's not interfering with what we're doing. And like I said, I want to take us through each of these code challenges one by one. Now, you're going to see a lot of repetition here, and that's purposeful. I do want to have some repetition, but change up some of the values and some of the elements, but have some repetition so that students become aware that there are some essential coding ideas and concepts that they need to learn, and these are important. So we're going to take a look at it just like we did before from one, and I'm going to walk through each of these slides, and then we're going to move to Python and then execute it in the development platform. So with that being said, let's take a look at challenge number 2. So again, we're going to add two numbers. This time we're going to add 2 and 5. We want to ensure the fact that they are saying, okay, I need to use variables for these two numbers, plus they need to take a look at the first thing that's being asked of them, add. They need to know then I need to create a third variable. Now I'm using very specific words for those variables, which means when I want a math operation that says add two numbers together, I want a sum. When we get to, I want to subtract two numbers, one from the other, I want to get a difference. So I am using those specific words. No, they're not keywords, but that's getting ahead of myself. I do want to use specific words. However, if you just want, if they're comfortable just putting result or value or whatever, then that's a good starting point. They need to recognize that we've got three variables because up front we have three different values. We have a 10, a 5, and that last value is a 0 until it changes. Okay, so we have stored both of these values into a variable and then use the variables to add the numbers together. We want to be specific that they're adding the variables together, and that's probably going to take some time for them to think through because it's not going to make sense. But the all of your coding languages, again, I can't reinforce this enough. Every coding language out there is going to use variables, so become comfortable using variables is a good thing. So with that being said, we're going to store the value of 10 plus 5 into a variable, and then we're going to display that value. So what does that look like in pseudocode? And what does that look like in our flowchart? Well, this is what it looks like. Excuse me. Again, we have the begin and end structure for both the pseudocode and the flowchart. And we're just using those keywords of display, store, action, display, and end, and in that order. So we want to make sure that they're displaying what the program does. We want to store those three essential variables and the values of those variables. We then want to make sure that they have that action, and that simple action is doing that math operation, and that's it. Don't overcomplicate it. Just make that action happen and then display the output. So if we understand that pseudocode, just learning the icon elements is also important. So again, parallelogram for display, so we have it up top, we have it at the bottom, we have one, two, three store elements and one action element, and that ends the program. Now, when we write the program, we're going to do it the exact same way, except when we use specific coding languages, these words such as display or other things that we're going to use may change. Like for example, I have display here, but in Python that's called print, and in Scratch it's actually called say. So you need to say, one of the sprites will say something. So it's a bit more child-friendly, interactive, but it's all doing essentially the same thing. So with that being said, let's take a look at the code. 10, 5, 0, add num1 plus num2, and then print it out. And if we run the code, we should get a 15. And we do. So that's code challenge number 2. I'll see you for code challenge number 3.